All right, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers working the way through preseason, and we've got some exciting news for Pittsburgh. They've made a unique announcement for them. They've got a new starter, a rookie emerging. Great news for Pittsburgh. I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers are reportedly naming a starter at a key position who is a rookie. This is very unusual for them, but I think you Steelers fans will really appreciate it. Let's pull up this report, and then we'll talk about it more in detail on the other side. This is courtesy of SI.com. Rookie tackle Troy Fautanu is recovering from an MCL sprain and will miss the next couple weeks. Despite the injury, the Steelers are reportedly planning to make their top draft pick a starter in his rookie season, according to team insider Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. After 3 weeks of training camp and just one preseason game, they, the Steelers, are ready to hand the starting right tackle job over to their number one draft choice. He wrote, they plan to start him in Saturday night's preseason game against the Buffalo Bills and leave him there for the start of the regular season until he injured his knee Friday night against the Houston Texans. The move would be a huge shift from head coach Mike Tomlin's usual philosophy with rookies. He usually likes to slowly incorporate rookies into the mix, gradually increasing their playing time and role. That's what he did with rookies Joey Porter Jr., Keanu Benton, and Broderick Jones in 2023. Despite being extremely talented, they all had to wait. Look, I think we all understand there's a sense of urgency in Pittsburgh right now. Fautanu, I think by all reports, is doing a really solid job. Excited to see the Steelers name him their starter, or at least reportedly are going to do so. Believe it's the right move. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, Steelers fans, in the comment section below, we're talking Fautanu, we're talking offensive tackles today. So who is, in your opinion, the greatest offensive tackle in Pittsburgh Steelers history? A couple really interesting names, kind of a forgotten position, in my opinion, for the Steelers history, but there's going to be one that I'm sure it's at the top of your list. Give us your favorite Pittsburgh Steelers offensive tackle of all time and put them in the comment section below. And while you're down there, make sure you check out the description box below for our recommended book to get you ready for the upcoming season. We plugged it all off season long, and we're going to continue to do so. It is Playmakers by Mike Florio. It is a great book, and of course, we're not just saying that because we bought the darn thing. It's a really good read. Highly recommend it. Ins and outs of the National Football League. It's kind of easy reading too, so it's, you can pick it up and put it down. If you buy the book, we really recommend you do. Please use our affiliate link in the description below. It takes you right to Amazon. It costs you nothing, and it helps our channel out. So if you do purchase this book, which you should, please use that affiliate link out. We'd really appreciate it. But Miles, I will throw it over to you now. What are your thoughts on this latest Steelers news?
Yeah, Nick, first, obviously, as the article alluded to, this is kind of a big stray from the usual Mike Tomlin sentiment on rookies. We all saw last year, we did many videos on it, especially regarding Jones and Keanu Benton. They were really great, but despite that, they didn't get the play time early on. Same thing with Joey Porter Jr. And now we see them all of a sudden come out of nowhere and say, hey, we're going to name this rookie the starter from day one, potentially. And I think that's really interesting because when I hear that, I think one of two things is happening. I think that either A, Fautanu is so incredibly good that they couldn't resist from starting him, which I'm sure he has done very good, but I don't think that's the case. I think B, Mike Tomlin is changing. This Steelers team has changed. We've seen them implement a ton of change. New offensive coordinators, new quarterbacks, moving off players before it's too late. There's a lot of change going on in Pittsburgh, and I think this is the latest in that line of changes where they said, hey, if we have a guy and he's good and he looks like he's better than the starters we have now, and we want them to play, we're going to go ahead and play him. We're not going to make them wait. We're not going to do what we did in the past. We're going to go ahead and get these guys on the field. Because I think it was kind of obvious last year. We saw Broderick Jones in the wings. We saw Keanu Benton's in the wings. And we're like, why aren't these guys playing? They're going to add a lot of benefit on the field. Why are they just sitting buried on the depth chart until they could, be ready? Well, I think they're realizing these guys can be ready a lot sooner than they think they are. And Tomlin finally said, all right, Fautanu, starting job is yours. So I think this is a really nice change of pace for the Steelers. And I think we're going to start to see this Steelers team is going to be very different from any Steelers teams we have seen in the past.
Yeah, let's review everything Pittsburgh has done going back to essentially January, right? The Pittsburgh Steelers, for a long time with Tomlin, not big into analytics at all. What did they do in January? They signed not one, but two new analysts to the front office specifically for analytics. What do the Steelers don't do? They don't fire assistant head coaches. And of course, they fired, thank God, Matt Canada, moved on to Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator. What do the Steelers do? They hold on to veteran players maybe a little bit too long. Kenny Pickett? Nope, we let him go. We bring in not one, but two quarterbacks. We've seen this be, as you alluded to, a big change for Mike Tomlin. I think it's been an entire offseason of change. Look, frankly, it's warranted, right? The Pittsburgh Steelers have not made a deep playoff run, I think, since 2016. And that's just not how it works. That doesn't jive. If you're a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, you guys know this better than anybody. The expectation is the standard is deep playoff runs. The standard is going to AFC championship games, making Super Bowl runs, winning titles consistently, right? That is the standard that's been in place for Pittsburgh going back to the 1970s, a little lull in the 80s, the 90s. They had a couple little runs there, and it picked up in the 2000s and 2010s. But the last, 7-8 years or so, it's been a lot of disappointment. It's been a lot of mediocre. It's been a lot of average. That's not going to fly, especially when you've got a really talented squad. You've got one of the best defenders in football, TJ Watt. You've got a great front seven. You've got a young secondary, young cornerback group that's really good. You got Minka Fitzpatrick as a safety, as kind of the veteran of the group. He's got a great job. A lot of young playmakers as well. Offensive line starting to come together a little bit. Now is the time to be more aggressive. Now is the time to change what you're doing, to push, to just break out of that mediocre spiral. And I think starting Fatanu is the right move to make. And I understand why it's surprising, because the Steelers, frankly, never do this. They kind of like to play it safe and kind of lean on the veterans. Look, at this point, you got to put people on the field that are going to mix up your mentality. They're going to mix up your attitude. And there's going to be some ups and downs when you start rookies, but there's a chance it works out really well for you too. The Houston Texans last year are a phenomenal example of that. They went incredibly young, had a really solid playoff run no one saw coming, right? Again, you got to change something up, right? It's not working what the Steelers have been doing for the better part of the last 6-7 years. And Fatanu, first round pick, very talented guy, doing some good things in camp. It's not like he's a scrub that they're giving him the starting job. I think this is a really smart move by Tomlin, and I'm really excited to see what Fatanu does as a starter on the Steelers offense.